This episode of Sideline Warning is brought to you by Roosport, makers of the original magnetic running pouch. Whether you're biking, running, hiking, or even traveling, the Roosport clips to your waistband with magnets for an easy, convenient way to carry what you need without the bulk of belts or bags. Visit theroosport.com and use the code May18 by May 20th for 30% off your purchase during their Mother's Day sale. Again, that's theroosport.com, promo code May18.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Sideline Warning, the show where sports takes are sure to go way too far into the field. Here to recap this week's biggest and best sports stories are your hosts, Dave Adams, Ben Foster, and Adam Russell.
Hey, welcome into Sideline Warning, everybody. It's episode 26. And for those of you who haven't been on the show before or haven't listened to the show before, I am your host with the most, Dave Adams. And it's now time to bring in my fellow co-host all the way from Birmingham, Alabama. But I don't think you're in Birmingham again, Ben.
I'm on the road.
Ben Foster?
I'm on the road.
Ben Foster, yeah, so you're in your mobile studios?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
I mean, look, it's a podcast. It all fits in a backpack.
And it is Mother's Day, so you're on the road. I think you're at your mom's house again, right?
Visiting mom. Gotta show mom some love for Mother's Day.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you're on the road, but then our other co-host, who is all the way down from Florida, St. Cloud, Lake Buena Vista, House of Mouse, Orlando, whatever. Adam Russell, what's going on, man?
It's all the same to people that don't live here, right?
Right? I mean, I could have thrown Kissimmee, Celebration.
Just call it the Magic Kingdom. He lives at the Magic Kingdom, yes.
he lives in the castle. They're in the Dream Suite. Adam, what's going on?
Oh, not much. Just enjoying the view of the fireworks and watching all the guests in their magical day in the park. That's what I'm talking to you, fine gentlemen.
It's 10 o'clock. Why are they still in the park? Extra magic hours?
Yeah, there you go.
Wait, we can't talk Disney. We'll lose listeners.
Well, please then, by all means, kick us off with the sports, David.
Well, okay. So last week we had our interview with ESPN.com, ESPN, the magazine, and New York Times bestseller Sam Miller about his radical ideas how to change baseball. If you haven't listened to that episode, it's episode 25. It was a great interview with Sam. We love listening to him talking. He has some weird ideas, but stuff to get a conversation going. But something else happened before that week that we didn't get a chance to touch on, and I kind of want to talk about it now. After a year and a half of coaching, Kirby Smart has gotten a raise for 7 years, $49 million, which equals out to about $7 million a year. Guys, I'm going to post this question to you. Is he worth $7 million a year after just a year and a half?
What was he making before?
I didn't look that up. Adam?
He was making, I think, 3.75. So it's almost double.
So he doubled his money.
Basically.
So he doubled his money by losing in the national championship game.
Well, he doubled his money, and I think he gets a $600K bonus from making the national championship game.
He won the SEC championship.
For a top 5 finish, and $400,000 for winning the national championship game.
He won the SEC championship.
He won the SEC championship. Who cares about conference championships anymore?
He beat Auburn, which gives you a share. If you beat Auburn, you actually have a share of the national championship, don't you? That's all it takes to get if you just have to beat Auburn, and then you can claim a national championship.
That's what they're saying these days, yeah.
That's what I hear from the House of Mouse. I mean, you get a parade thrown for you down there.
Exactly. I was going to tell you, Dave, that's the same thought I had, was that it seems to be very favorable in the SEC to lose right now, because you lose to Bama in the national championship game, you double your money. Same thing happened to Gus. He lost to Georgia in the SEC championship game, and he got a raise to the same $7 million a year. So losing is just as profitable as winning these days, it seems like.
Look, Georgia had to pony up, because if they didn't start paying Kirby more, he could have made more money going back to Saban and being the defensive coordinator again.
Coordinators are making, 1.2, 1.5, somewhere around in there?
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Kirby Smart wasn't going anywhere. Mama called. This was Kirby Smart's alma mater. He's not going anywhere. They could have given him $6 million, $5.5 million, and he would have stayed.
No, I don't think so. Because if you look at the top 5 in the SEC, you got Saban at the top. Then you got Jimbo Fisher, Kirby's tied with Gus, and then Dan Mullen. And there's only 2 people on that list that have actually done anything in the SEC, and that's Saban and Kirby. So they had to get him up there with the rest of the guys after he performed the way he did. I think they had to. And I don't think it's a matter of staying. I think it's a matter of equity and fairness.
This is just Georgia leveling up. And Kirby got Georgia to the national championship game at least twice as fast as I thought he would. I thought it would take 4 or 5 years, and he got them there his second year. That's pretty amazing.
It's amazing, but I just don't think he's worth $7 million a year. I mean, he's now getting paid the same as Gus Malzahn, which we talked about, I think it was last week. I don't think Gus Malzahn is worth $7 million a year. And I'll be honest with you guys, I don't think Dan Mullen is worth $6 million a year.
That's the best $7 million gift Auburn could ever give Alabama, though. I'll tell you that much.
Hey, I love that gift right now. I don't know. I don't think that these coaches are worth it. Now, Saban, I think 8.275 is a lot less than he's worth. I think that Alabama could pay Saban $10 million a year.
Yeah. Now, so let me ask you guys this. What do you think about Kirby? You know, he made it to the big dance. He made it to the big dance, won the SEC, didn't win the national championship. Let's say that becomes the new normal for Georgia over the next 5 years, that for a majority of the 7 years that they just extended him for, he wins the SEC but doesn't win the national championship, and it's basically Mark Richt plus 1 level. Does Georgia tolerate that? Or do they want to see him win it all? What do you guys think?
Yeah, they want to see him win it all, because that's what every school that's a Power 5 team wants, unless you're like a Power 5 team like Duke, in which case you don't care. Or if you're Vanderbilt, you don't care. But
I was going to say Vandy.
there's a couple of schools that don't care. Everybody else wants to win a national championship and wants to figure out a way to get there. Can they all get there? Absolutely not. Is it possible for Georgia to get there? Absolutely. And you know, I think a lot of it depends. You know, I'm the one that's skeptical that Saban's going to retire soon, but I think a lot of it depends on how soon Saban retires. If Kirby is getting to the SEC championship game, if he's making the playoff and not winning, and then in 5 years Saban retires, Kirby could very well be the best coach in the SEC at that point and be the most dominant coach in the SEC at that point. But, you know, 5 years from now, Saban's picked up a few more championships and Saban shows no signs of letting up, then it's a different story at Georgia. So I still think that, you know, things could be really good for Georgia, but they're going to be reacting to what happens at Alabama. Everybody is.
Yeah, everybody's reacting to Alabama except Ohio State, because I've actually pulled up a list now of the top highest paid coaches in the country. And Saban is no longer the top paid head coach anymore. Urban Meyer is now making $4 million, and you have to add some decimals behind that. But Urban Meyer is making more money than Saban. Why did that happen? Saban dominated Urban Meyer in my mind. How is Alabama letting Urban Meyer become the highest paid in the country right now?
It's a great question.
Yeah,
I mean, I think when you add in incentives and all that, it definitely doesn't level out the way that it looks on the base salary side. But the thing that amazes me about the 10 highest paid coaches list, I think it was Chris Lowe put that out with ESPN, is you look at that list, who's actually done something in the last 3 to 5 years on that list. And it's just amazing that you've got Harbaugh at almost $8 million at Michigan, and you've got Gus Malzahn, you've got Mullen over at Florida, you got Shaw at Stanford, you got Herman at Texas, and it's like out of that top 10, those guys have proven it's simply just the economy of the game has shifted to where you have to match the number to get the guy. So,
well, I think it's absurd that Jimbo Fisher has got 10 years with $75 million guaranteed.
Guaranteed, yeah.
And you know, Jimbo Fisher's actually got a national championship to his credit. You know, Urban Meyer's got a few national championships. So I don't fault Urban Meyer for making some money. I don't think at the end of the day Urban Meyer's making more money than Nick Saban. He's not taking home more money. That's not the case.
So the list I have is based on average annual salary. And so it's not including incentives, it's not including all your whatever, if you win a national championship, whatever. It's just annual average annual salary. So right now, Urban Meyer is making more annually than Nick Saban.
Yeah, because you throw in a guaranteed Big Ten title.
Right, exactly.
Who's going to beat Urban Meyer and Ohio State right now?
Well, so let's go ahead and look down this list. We're kind of shifting gears now to the list, from Kirby Smart to the list. So like Adam said, number 10 is Tom Herman at Texas, $5,950,000. Is he worth that, gentlemen?
Maybe.
Or is the jury still out because we don't know what he's doing?
Let's revisit that like in 12 games from now.
Sounds good. So
I think he's out, but with the size of Texas's wallet, I think if their coach isn't in the top 10, I think that would be surprising.
Yeah. David Shaw at Stanford making flat $6 million. You're shaking your head at him.
No, I am.
I think he's worth it. I think David Shaw has done great things at Stanford.
Really?
I would personally call him a failure, but I don't usually use that word.
He's trademark Dave Adams. You can't use that word.
David Shaw's a good coach, but I mean, it's a crapshoot whether or not Stanford's going to be in the top of the Pac-12 or not. And the Pac-12 is easily the worst football conference of the Power Five.
I disagree with that. I strongly disagree with that. Look at the Big 12. The Big 12 is the worst conference right now.
Okay, the Big 12 can actually land a team in the playoff.
So has the Pac-12. Alabama played Washington
2 years ago.
So?
Go.
Okay.
The Pac-12's got nothing going for them. The Pac-12, after Alabama eviscerated Washington, there was nothing else. That's it. They took Washington off the playing board, and there was nothing else for the Pac-12. Washington was their best hope again this year, and they weren't even in the running. But if Washington's your argument that the Pac-12's a decent conference, where is Stanford? Stanford's way down the list, in the 4th or 5th best conference. David Shaw is not that good of a coach. He's not a $6 million coach.
So then let's go to number 8, Dan Mullen, also $6 million. I've already stated that Dan Mullen to me is not even worth $5 million. So what say you, gentlemen?
Dan Mullen makes his money off of a particular type of quarterback, and if he can get that type of quarterback at Florida, he's worth every penny. If he can't get that type of quarterback at Florida, then no, they're overpaying him. It's that simple. Does he get the quarterback that works in his system? If he has his system working with the right quarterback, he's going to be worth the money, and they're going to win the SEC East.
Yep.
Well, let me ask you this. I've actually heard of a certain quarterback who would fit his system perfectly. That is the backup quarterback at Alabama.
Assumed backup
at Alabama. Would Jalen Hurts transferring to a Dan Mullen system be the savior of Florida?
It couldn't hurt Florida.
It'd be the savior of Dan Mullen.
Well, that's very true. All right, so that's number 8. Number 7, and here's an underpaid man. Give that boy Dabo Swinney more money. He's only making but on this list, only making $6,750,000 a year. So he is actually making less money than coaches who haven't even been in the national championship picture. He needs to be making more money.
Yeah, I agree.
Definitely. But can Clemson afford it?
No.
Do they have the money base to compete with somebody like Texas A&M? Or somewhere as huge as Florida.
Do you know who can afford more than 600 or $6 million?
Alabama.
Georgia can.
Well, yes, because
wait, Stanford can. Dabo is going to Stanford. He is going to take over the Pac-12.
Okay, so I'm going to lump in 5 and 6 together because they're making the same amount of money, and they're both rivals. Gus and Kirby both making $7 million a year. In my mind, neither of these guys are worth $7 million a year. I would put Kirby maybe 5.5, 6. I wouldn't even put Gus in the top 20 of coaches right now.
Again, I think Kirby's worth the money. The team he put out there this past year, the type of talent he's recruiting, he's going to have a very good program for a very long time if he keeps recruiting. Well, like he's doing. Georgia is fertile recruiting ground. There's no reason to think he won't be able to bring the best talent in. He actually runs a real legitimate football system, unlike Gus Malzahn, who runs a gimmicky football system. I will pay much more for real football than I will a gimmick.
Yeah, I think that proves more that Auburn values stability right now and having the same guy, the known evil, rather than an unknown evil of having him possibly leave. But I don't think it's still worth $7 million.
It's worth the money to keep him from going somewhere like Arkansas, which is really what it is. It's just a defensive measure because look, you've got to pay Gus Malzahn that much money, because if we weren't, we'd be having a whole show about Gus Malzahn being paid millions of dollars less than everybody else in the SEC. So it's one of those, catch-22s, danged if you do, danged if you don't. If everybody else is making $7 million, at some point you've got to level up and pay your coach $7 million, whether he's worth it or not, because you have to signal to the next coach that you hire that you've got the money and you're willing to pay up.
Yeah, and here's my head scratcher about that Gus Malzahn thing. This is one of the first things that Auburn's new athletic director has done, is you've given Gus Malzahn $7 million a year over 7 more years. If you're an Auburn fan base, are you happy with this? I mean, is the Auburn fan base actually happy with Gus Malzahn?
At the end of the Iron Bowl, they probably were.
Right, at the end of the Iron Bowl, they were. At the end of the first Alabama-Georgia game, or the first Georgia-Auburn game, they were.
Yeah, but I don't think it's consistent enough for them in the long run, though. I mean, you look at the end of their season where they go from winning the Iron Bowl, making it the SEC championship, they lose to them, they lose to Georgia, and then lose to UCF. I don't think that kind of thing's going to hold for very long if they're paying them that much money. It's going to be hard to justify.
Yeah, and here's my thing, and I've said it before, I'm going to say it again. Auburn, all you had to do was beat UCF, and then you could have shut the entire city of Orlando up. Auburn, why in the world do you have to let me down every year? Every year.
They did it just to mess with us, Dave.
So what I think you're saying is you would rather live in a world where Auburn wins than Auburn loses. Ooh. This basically makes you an Auburn fan.
No,
Dave, is this what you're revealing on the show? You
game.
Look, you can just confess it. It's time to come clean. You're actually a secret Auburn fan, and you're pulling for Auburn. You just said it. You said it. You're rooting for Auburn to win. Is that not what you said? You wanted Auburn to win.
That one game, yes.
Yeah,
So you were rooting for Auburn in one game?
If you root for them in one, you might as well root for them in all.
I'm not going to give that question a response. All I'm going to say is roll Tide. Okay,
it is very much like an Auburn fan to just kind of hide from the truth and not want to even confront the truth. So Dave, you're confirming everything with your silence. You're actually an Auburn fan now.
I think our audience deserves an answer, personally.
That's it. I'm leaving the show.
Adam, I've got a question. Adam, have you ever actually seen Dave's degree from Alabama?
No.
Me either. For all we know, he may have actually graduated from Auburn.
Do you see the ring that's in the camera, gentlemen?
Dave, we see the class ring. Where's the?
I mean, look, those rings are a dime a dozen, Dave. You can get that at any pawn shop. You know what, Dave? Okay. Dave's trying to make his case by showing a ring, which reminds me of how Auburn tried to make a ring for their Western Conference, Western Division win. So
coach number 4 on the list.
It's just very evident. It's very evident.
I can't breathe.
Dave is all there for the Auburn Tigers. Dave, did you say there was something else on the list? Let's go there.
Coach number 4 on the list. Hey, by the way, if y'all can't tell, we are in the dead time of sports. The winter is upon us. Okay, so coach number 4 on the list.
That's exactly what I would expect Auburn fan to say after Auburn lost in the SEC softball tournament to Alabama this week. So I understand it feels like winter because even Auburn softball is not doing well for you, Dave.
Wow.
Coach number 4 on the list, and one of the most highly overpaid coaches in the SEC and in the country is Jimbo Fisher at Texas A&M, making 7.5. We've already touched on him. I don't think any of us three are going to say that this is a good hire. Or maybe it was a good hire, but not a good salary.
Jimbo's got that oil money.
He's got that oil money. But I was listening to
everything's bigger in Texas, including the contracts.
Yeah. I was listening to a radio show this week talking about Jimbo Fisher. Anytime Jimbo Fisher's been a head coach, he has had, when he was relevant, he had Jameis Winston. Ever since Jameis Winston has graduated, Florida State has had issues. So is Jimbo Fisher a flash-in-the-pan type of Gus Malzahn coach that you have to have a good quarterback to win with? And right now we know Texas A&M doesn't have a good quarterback. I think Jimbo Fisher is probably going to have a huge wake-up call there at Texas A&M. He might not win 7 games at A&M next year.
Doesn't matter. The money's guaranteed.
That is very true.
Yep.
All right. Number 3 is the most overpaid coach in the country, Jim Harbaugh, and his pleated khaki pants wearing self makes $7,728,571. First off, where in the world do they come up with that number?
It's an average.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Man.
I'm so glad we have an engineer on the show.
I know, right? We wouldn't have been able to figure that out. But here's my question. So we already know who number 2 and 1 are on this list because we've already talked about it. Should a man who has not won a national championship be paid more than 2 of the coaches on the list that have won a national championship? Jim Harbaugh, Jimbo Fisher, Gus Malzahn, and Kirby Smart are all making more money than Dabo Swinney.
Sometimes it's about the program prestige. I mean, look, is Jim Harbaugh a better coach than Dabo Swinney? Absolutely not. Does Michigan have way more money than Clemson? Absolutely. So, you know, I think what you've got to factor in is how much pain does the salary cause the athletic program? And Clemson is happy to experience every bit of the pain because they're getting a great return on it. For Michigan, they're not getting a great return, but for them it's also a drop in the bucket because Michigan's sitting on a pile of cash.
Yeah.
How long does it take for Michigan fans to be upset about that salary? Because Michigan
about 3 months. About 3 months from now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because if memory serves, I don't believe Jimbo has beaten Ohio State. Am I right? Or did they beat Ohio State?
No, they're still waiting.
All right. This is where I need our buddy Chris Papchik to let me know because he's a Michigan fan. Hey, Chris, by the way, we're talking about Michigan on this podcast, so you need to listen. But
Harbaugh took the team to France. I mean, that's not cheap. You got to have a little money to do all that international jet setting.
He took them to France this year, and then he took them. Where else? He took them somewhere weird last year.
They went to Rome last year. They went to the Vatican.
So how does that help them as a team?
It's team bonding.
It's like studying abroad. Yeah.
I understand taking the team to where D-Day happened. You see Normandy Beach, you see all that. Then it's kind of a blind side or a strong side, weak side, or strong side, left side, whatever that was on. Crap, that movie's escaping me now. Denzel Washington. Remember the Titans. Yeah. Right, where they took him to Gettysburg. But I don't understand the Vatican. Why taking them to Rome? What does that do?
They got him blessed.
Harbaugh's a big Catholic.
Yep.
Okay. All right, so number 2 and number 1.
Harbaugh's going on vacation where he wants to go. And can you blame him? Look, Dave, if you were making $8 million a year and you could also plan a vacation anywhere in the world and your company that would pay for it, wouldn't you do that?
And you knew that was likely to come to a close within the next year or two?
You've got to milk it. You've got to milk it. Look, I'm looking at Michigan's schedule. They play Notre Dame on September 1st. They open the season with Notre Dame. If Michigan, historic program, falls to Notre Dame, historic program, it's over right there. People are going to be freaking out about Harbaugh well before they get to the Ohio State game.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think I really do think that this is Jim Harbaugh's last year of sitting and coasting. Maybe Jim Harbaugh gets fired after the end of the year. I don't know. But number 2 and number 1, of course, is Saban and Urban Meyer. Now, this brings me to the close of this list, but it also brings up an interesting question. Beyond 1 and 2 of this list, would you be comfortable calling 3 through 10 elite coaches? Because I wouldn't. I wouldn't put anybody below Saban or below Meyer and Saban in the category as elite coach yet.
You wouldn't call Dabo elite?
Not yet. Not yet.
I mean, I would say, what's your definition of elite?
Longevity. Right now we're at what? 5 years of Dabo being great. I think 10 years of longevity is great.
I think you're just in a money cycle, though. I don't think it's that they're elite coaches. I think that they're coaches of elite programs that have high expectations. And with those expectations, better come the money, or, just like with Gus Malzahn, I'll just bounce to Arkansas if you don't pay me. So you have to pay him to get him there and keep him. So I think it's more about the program. I think you're just in a money cycle right now.
Well, look, these guys are top 10 in the money because they're also top 10 as somewhat proven coaches. They're not all doing great jobs. That's what the whole question's about. But some of these guys are doing pretty decent jobs, and you'd hire them over a lot of your other options. Don't you think the top guys in the money, if you had to make a list of the top 10 best coaches, wouldn't the list be pretty similar?
A workable coach from Mississippi State would not make number 8 on my top list.
Yeah, let me ask you, if Nick Saban retired yesterday and they came to you and said, all right, we're going to hire Tom Herman, would you be excited? I wouldn't.
No.
All right, we're going to hire Dan Mullen.
No.
No.
Well, nobody's going to be satisfied. That's the problem. Whoever replaces Saban, that is the worst job ever, even if your name is Dabo Swinney, because replacing Saban is the worst job ever. Nobody wants to replace Saban because Saban is irreplaceable. That's not the question. The question is, are these guys the top 10 coaches? Is the best money going to the best coaches? And that's what I'm asking here. Dan Mullen, whether or not you'd want to hire Dan Mullen is beside the point. Can you think of 10 coaches better than Dan Mullen?
I can think of at least 2 in my mind that aren't on this list.
Who you got?
I got James Franklin, who I think has taken Penn State to a higher elite level.
Okay.
And hold up, I had the name and now it's escaped me. Okay, I'm just gonna go with James Franklin.
Yeah, I'm digging down a little bit past number 10 to look at like recently what some of the highest paid coaches have been, and I mean it's predominantly SEC, and you've got like James Franklin at Penn State. I'm
not saying my
Gary Patterson at TCU. Yeah. I mean, no, I think that this. I mean, you have a few you could probably swap out some names for, but I think it's a coin flip once you get past 5. Really.
I'm not saying my list would be exactly the same, but it would be pretty similar. I think a lot of these guys that are getting top money would also be probably the top coaches out there. If you were having a national coaching search, wouldn't you go look at them? I mean, who's not in here? Chip Kelly? Are you going to put Chip Kelly in your top 10? Or I just mentioned Notre Dame a few minutes ago. Brian Kelly. Are you going to take either
Brian
Kelly?
No, neither of those I'll take. Rich Rod, you mean Fired Rod?
I'm just saying, James Franklin, that's a great point. But outside of him, I mean, there's a little bit of variance. But for the most part, the money is going to the best coaches.
Gary Patterson. I think Gary Patterson belongs there. And the guy's name escapes me. Washington's head coach, who was at Boise State. Why is his name? But you know who I'm talking about. So he belongs in this list as well. Who?
I said the boy wonder.
Yeah, he belongs in this list as well. Yeah, the wonder. He belongs in the list as well. But speaking of lists, let's change to another list that came out, I think, just this week. It's the top 10 most hated college football programs in 2018. There are some names on this list that don't belong on, and then I think there's some names that should be on this list that are not there. And I'm going to be biased. I know I am, because 2 of the teams that I hate the most aren't even on this list. So do we want to start number 1, guys, or do we want to start at number 10?
Let's take it from 10.
Okay. At 10 is Clemson. At 9 is Oregon. At 8 is Penn State. At 7 is Texas A&M. At 6 is Texas. At 5 is Florida State. At 4 is Michigan. At 3 is Ohio State. At 2 are the Catholics of Notre Dame. And at 1 are the Alabama Crimson Tide. I understand that we're number 1 because we're number 1 in everything. People are getting Alabama fatigue. I get it. I get that why Alabama's number 1. But Clemson's been as high as Alabama's been for a while. Why are they at number 10? Texas A&M hasn't been relevant for years. Why are they at 7? Texas hasn't been relevant. Why are they at 6? Where's Oklahoma on this list?
Yep.
Where's Auburn? Where's Tennessee?
I'm absolutely beside myself that UCF didn't make this list.
Well,
I mean, you're talking right now in this moment, the most hated programs. I might say in some corners that UCF might edge out any Alabama fatigue that's out there. Yeah, but I mean, you look at other things out there. Miami, I mean, the swagger, the U. I mean, come on, really, they didn't make it. USC, Florida, LSU because of the fans. I mean, there's so many other things that I think could have made the list for various reasons. I think you look at Oregon, though, they only made it because of the uniform thing.
How did they actually make this list?
I don't know that I never heard anybody say, I hate Clemson or I hate Oregon. I've never heard those two things said before, unless you're a fan of the rival team, right? But it's not like a national sentiment. But
how did this list actually get made? Were they polling people?
I don't know. This is from The Spun. I don't know what The Spun is, but it's a list of, I don't know how they made the list. But a lot of other sports guys have retweeted and have talked about this list all week. So apparently it has to have some relevancy. Penn State at number 8. I don't see why they're on there. I can't hate Penn State. Is that just because of what happened 5-6 years ago with Jerry Sandusky?
I think it affects some people because that's not a really good thing. And you plain and simple. And I think a lot of people, like, while they want to, give a certain amount of, a certain long leash to their program to do some things like strange recruiting and stuff like that. What you don't want to have is a program that's participating in something that negatively affects children and hurts children and harms children. And so that's a huge problem for Penn State. And I think that still lingers on people's minds. There's always going to be people that hate successful programs. So I think Penn State may have made this list even before the scandals came about. But that definitely affects how people view a program, and people don't want to support a program, and they want to hate a program that's going to allow those kind of things to happen on their watch.
Yeah.
So yeah, it matters.
Yeah, I can't say anything. It matters. Okay. So now let's look at this. I've already said who I think belongs on this list. Who was left out in y'all's minds?
I think the big one is Miami. I mean, if you go back to '92, the way they acted around Alabama at that time and the things they've done since then, it's just I'd never heard anybody except a Miami fan say that they like Miami. I mean, you look at other programs that have a storied past that people always roll their eyes when they're winning. It's like a USC. I mean, you look at Florida, you look at Oklahoma. I think those are 4 that definitely should have been in the running.
I'm kind of surprised USC is not on the list. I just feel like historically Southern Cal's been so good. Even when Southern Cal is not good, like this past year playing in a terrible Pac-12, they still,
it's not terrible, man.
The worst conference. They still got a lot of attention just based on their quarterback play. And because of where they are in Southern California, they're always able to get good athletes and get good quarterbacks just because of the allure of Los Angeles. So I'm always surprised people don't hate Southern Cal just for some of like the benefits and the things Southern Cal has just by nature of who they are. I'm really surprised Southern Cal's not on the list.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you talk
if they
about
were in
how
a better
the list
conference.
Yeah, and you talk about how the list is made. I mean, it's obvious that the top is, You talk about USC, more of a fatigue of a team. Then you think about annoying fan bases, and that's where like a LSU or a Florida comes out. And I think you've got those teams, those programs that historically are willing to hold their nose and look past things that are obviously going on in their programs. And that's where I think about like a Florida State or a Miami, or even kind of, Baker Mayfield's behavior last year at Oklahoma and everything that you've heard about Stoops and how people don't like him. So I think that there's definitely ways you could group them together and rework this top 10 to where it makes more sense based off a number of criteria. So.
Clearly, Texas and Texas A&M voted each other onto the list, and the people who made this list put them at 6 and 7 so they could debate about which one was worse. It is purely there to troll people in the state of Texas and renew that rivalry that's not actually being played.
Yeah, and I'm going to say this too. I don't understand why Notre Dame is number 2. That's a historically hated program, but they haven't been relevant since Alabama basically put them in the ground in 2012.
Their fans are still obnoxious, though. And have you watched a Brian Kelly press conference where when they lose, he never takes responsibility for it. He always puts it on his assistant coaches. He always puts it on his players. It's still really easy to hate Notre Dame even when they're not good.
Yep.
Yeah, that's very true. Just because Notre Dame is Notre Dame. The only thing that's good about Notre Dame is Rudy, and Rudy was offsides. I'm just going to throw that out there. But you know what? It's easy to love our sponsors. And right now it's time for us to take a break. And we're going to give you a commercial about Roo Sport, because Roo Sport is a great product. We hope that you enjoy it too. So we're going to take our break, and we're going to tell you about Roo Sport, and we'll be back on the other side where we talk about some Braves baseball. So have a nice Coke and a smile, and we'll see you on the other side here on Sideline. Hey guys, this is Dave. Probably got a quick second here for the break. We want to tell you guys about our sponsor, The Roo Sport. They're at theroosport.com. Adam introduced me to this product, and Adam, you talked about having this during the Dark Side run there at Disney World, right?
Yeah, sure did. I've been using it for the last few half marathons that I've run in, and it's just a really convenient way to carry the gels and your phone, your room key, your car keys, that kind of stuff without having to have one of those bulky running belts. And so it really just clips to the waistband of your running shorts with magnets, and it stays in place. Over 13.1 miles, it didn't rub, it didn't fall, it didn't make my shorts slide or anything like that. So it's not that heavy, not that big, but it holds everything that you need. It comes in a variety of colors, which I know for people like my wife is a really big deal. But it also comes in a plus version that will hold anything as big as an iPhone 8 Plus. And so there's several different versions. theroosport.com is their website. They're going to have all the different colors, all the different versions you can check out there. But it's got everything you need, including a hole for your headphones to run through, which I know is a big thing with some of the armbands that I've used in the past, is just trying to make sure that you've got everything you need when you head out for your run. So definitely recommend it to everybody that might run. You can use it even if you're biking, if you're hiking. You want to have something convenient if you're going on a cruise or a flight to hold your passports. There are several different uses for it, several different ways that you can take advantage of the convenience. And if you visit their website right now, theroosport.com through May 20th, and you use the code May18 at checkout, you'll get 30% off your purchase. During their Mother's Day sale, they actually extended that out to May 20th, so that code's still good till then. And that's theroosport.com. So head out to their website, check out the different models they've got, pick the one that's right for you, and use that code to get a little bit off of your purchase. So definitely recommend it to everybody out there.
Yeah, I want to tell you a quick story real quick before we go back to the show. I actually just got mine in the mail this week, and I was going to take it out on my run, and it took me about 20 minutes to get the magnets apart. And I actually called Adam and said, hey, they say these magnets are strong, but I didn't think it was this strong.
Oh, yeah, it's not going anywhere.
No, it's not going anywhere.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, it's a good thing. I felt like I was about to rip the pouch apart, trying to get the magnets apart to use it at first. But really, when you get it, I'll just warn you, you have to slide it up and not try to pull it apart like you normally would a normal magnet. Slide it up. But once you get it on your pants, they do easily pull apart, but they don't move when you run. I second what Adam said. I took it on one of my long runs this week, and it's amazing. I didn't feel it. I knew it was there because I had my phone in the pouch, but it's a great product. I recommend it highly to anybody who's going to go running, walking, whatever you do. it's worth the purchase. And that code, May 18, it knocked about $10 off my purchase. So use it, love it, and I know that you'll love it like I have. So, guys, there's our commercial for theroosport.com. Go check them out, and we'll see you guys on the other side of this break here in just a second on Sideline Warning.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Sideline Warning. So we've talked college football, we've talked money, hated teams. Now let's switch topics a little bit and talk some Major League Baseball. So, boys, our Braves are, I would say, exceeding expectations at the moment. Would you agree?
I'd say they're exceeding expectations. I don't want to say that they're good yet because I posted in the fan group, I can't get my hopes up. I can't get my hopes up. I can't get my hopes up. But the Braves are letting me get my hopes up. I don't see any way the Braves are. I don't see anything where they can fall right now, except maybe their bullpen.
Well, as of the moment we're recording, the Braves have the best winning percentage in Major League Baseball, or in the National League, because they're behind the Red Sox and the Yankees. But they're the tops of the National League, and that is not something I thought we'd be saying here in middle of May.
Yeah, it's amazing to compare them to the Yankees, the Red Sox, and the Astros. I mean, they're absolutely tearing it up. But, I mean, when you look at the run differential, too, they've got the highest run differential right now in the National League at plus 56. Then you've got the Yankees at 65, the Red Sox at 67, and the Stros at 91. So, I mean, they're definitely up there in terms of winning percentage, in terms of run differential, and also how they're playing away. They're barely breaking 500 at home, but on the road, they're absolutely killing it.
Yeah, the Braves have become road warriors this year. In fact, the last week since we've last talked to you guys, the Braves have only lost one game on the road, and they have been in Adam's neck of the woods there in Tampa and in Miami. Adam, did you get a chance to go down to Tampa at all this week?
I have not. I'm actually looking later in the season to see if we can make something happen, but no, I haven't. It's more likely that I'll probably see them when the Angels are in town. I just couldn't make it work while the Braves are here. No.
Hey, look, y'all Auburn.
Hey guys, hang on a second.
It's not like you've got anything.
Wife.
Hey guys, hang on a second.
Dadgummit, we were getting into an argument.
Well, technology.
What happened?
Y'all dropped out. Like it said y'all dropped out of the call.
We were here the whole time. My Malta was working.
Well, I was here the whole time too, and the call recorder was working, but you guys weren't on the call. So,
okay.
All right.
What's the last thing you got?
Adam was saying that he was going to try to get us some games.
Okay, Angels games. Okay, go ahead, and we'll pick up the argument from there.
Yeah, I haven't been able to make it while the Braves are here. My wife was sick. It's still school. The school year's still going on. So it's hard to find the time to break away. It is a pretty long drive, even when you get to Tampa to get out to the stadium. It's still like another hour. But no, I'll get out there for some Rays Angels games later, but I'm not going to be able to make it for the Braves this time.
Rays Angels?
Yeah, man. I told you they were my other team. Come on.
Look, it might be your other team, but y'all are giving me crap about Auburn when no one in their right mind would ever call me an Auburn fan, and the Braves were in your backyard. It's like you got nothing going on at work. I understand your wife's been sick and it's school, but come on, it's just from Huntsville to Birmingham. It's just an hour and a half to get down to Tampa. You can go see the Braves when they're in your backyard. Come on, Adam.
I went and saw them for spring training when they really were in my backyard. Doesn't that count for something?
No, it doesn't count for anything. That they were at your place of business. You probably went on your lunch break then.
Yeah, actually, that's not that far from the truth. But But yeah, we'll find some time to get out there. I think the thing that surprised me the most, we've talked the stats, we've talked their run differentials and stuff, but if you take away the sweep against the Giants and the series we lost to the Reds, if we had turned those around, we would be on pace to be the first team to 30 wins. And I would never have thought that we would be there. Because, if you look at the statistical categories on batting, we're top 10, mostly top 5, or in the lead in most of the important batting stats. And the last time we talked this level of detail into the stats, our pitching was not good. But now even our pitching is top 14 and top 6 or higher. So, we're talking several categories in pitching where we're top 5 in baseball right now. And that's something that I think has got to hold if we're going to pull this off over the long run.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the Braves pitching needs to pick up. I'm shocked that we're having to say that because for basically our entire lives, when you think of the Braves, you think of pitching. Glavine, Smoltz, Mad Dog, Steve Avery. I hate to throw in there Charlie Leibrandt. Yeah, I know. I know.
That one still hurts.
That still hurts. John Rocker, Kent Merker, Greg Olson. Anybody? Anyway, but when you think of the Braves, you think of pitching. But now when you think of the Braves, you're thinking of offense. And going into this year, I feel, and I think I told you guys on this podcast, the Braves have no offense. They're throwing a pie in my face right now. They're making me look like a liar.
Adam, with all the stats you've got there, do you happen to have the Major League totals on stolen bases?
Yes, I do.
Who is the Major League leader in stolen bases?
It's one player named Ender Inciarte.
He's got, how many does he have?
Oh, gosh.
17,
Wrong.
I believe? He's got 17.
Yeah, I believe you're right. Yes.
Does anybody else have 17?
They do not.
Does anybody else have 16?
They do not.
No. So it's just Ender Inciarte clearly at the top, leading the major leagues. Not the National League, but the major leagues, both national and American. The best leader in stolen bases is Ender Inciarte, right?
That's right.
Did somebody on the show call him slow?
I think it was Dave, actually.
Dave called Ender Inciarte slow, and now
he is not as fast. He's not as fast. And now he's leading
the
Diamondbacks.
He's leading the league in stolen bases. It is amazing the damage Dave can do when he puts his mind to it.
So for those of you keeping score at home, I've called Nick Markakis a failure, and he is leading the league in batting average or getting close to it. He's leading the Braves in RBIs or something like that. I've also called Ender Inciarte slow, and he is leading the the major leagues in stolen bases. So I'm going to go ahead and say this right here and now. Freddie Freeman, you're a failure. You're horrible at hitting home runs. Ozzie Albies, you're a horrible second baseman. Anybody else, guys? Ronald Acuna, you're a horrible rookie.
Joey Bats, we don't need you.
Yeah,
you're a failure too.
You're a failure. Anybody else you want me to put the good juju on?
Thanks. That's good for right now, Dave. We may revisit the pitching staff with you next week.
Julio Teheran, you're Teheran up my heart with your no-nos, your almost no-nos. It's tearing up my heart.
No, that's not necessary. That's not necessary. That's
the show, folks. Thank you.
All right, we're done. We're done. It's over. It's off. We're killing
it. Yeah, it feels like, and the numbers aren't. I actually dug into it. The numbers aren't hugely different, but it feels like when the games are coming down to 1 or 2 runs this year, we're more and actually putting them in the win column. Whereas it felt like last year it was just so many games were within reach and they just didn't execute. Whereas this year they're either blowing a team out or they're pulling it out of the water when they need to with that 1 or 2 run lead. So.
Yeah, watching the game last night, actually, they talked about how the Braves score more runs in the 8th and 9th innings of games. And it's shocking because last year, that's when the Braves were losing the games. Now they're actually going in and winning the games in the 8th and 9th innings. So I don't know. Maybe the Braves don't have to worry about the bullpen because when the bullpen's coming out there, the Braves offense is still putting up runs.
Well, you take today's game where the Braves were finishing up the series with the Marlins, and had they not scored a few runs in the ninth inning, it might have been a very different story on the game, because the Braves gave up some runs in the ninth inning. So yep. you want to keep scoring, but you also want the pitching staff to get the job done. You want your bullpen to come in there and actually save the game, not give up runs, and there's still some question marks there. The Braves are playing great baseball, but the way the bullpen is inconsistent, they're not ready for the postseason. They may make the postseason, but they're not ready to go deep into the postseason.
So let's do this. Let's play Alex Anthopoulos' job right now. Trade deadline will be coming up at the end of July, and I know that Sam Miller last week said that no one really cares about the trade deadline. I'm going to call wrong on that right now, because I think the trade deadline is one of the most fun times of the year. So let's play Alex Anthopoulos right now. Who do the Braves go and try to get to bolster that bullpen? Knowing that the Braves have a deep farm system, that you can go and get a bullpen arm right now. Who do you think the Braves go and try to get?
Scherzer. I'm kidding.
No.
I'm kidding.
No.
I think that's the problem is you don't have a lot of great bullpen names that are out there that you can truly count on to bolster the bullpen. I guess you could go get a real closer, so that way you can shift Vizcaíno and Minter a little bit down, use them more in seventh and eighth inning situations instead of at the very end of the game. But still, you don't want that inconsistency anywhere late in the game. So I don't know where the best bullpen prospects are that you can turn up, but the Braves have got to do something. They've got to add a couple of arms to the bullpen to bolster that, or maybe the situation is to get in on the Manny Machado sweepstakes and just hit so much better than everybody else that it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You win every game 12-10 because you're just going to outscore everybody. So maybe
here's the deal.
That's what you do. You just stack so many bats in the lineup that it doesn't matter how bad the bullpen is.
Manny Machado plays shortstop. So what are you going to do with Lieutenant Dan?
You put Manny Machado over at third.
That's Joey Bats.
No. What has Bautista done?
He hit a home run against the Marlins.
Yeah, after he made an error in the field that nearly cost the Braves the game. Like we learned last week that Joey Bats is not Chipper Jones, and we don't expect him to be. We expect him to be Joey Bats, not Joey Glove.
So there you go. There you play on the bats, right? I mean, you just hit so much better than everybody else.
Right.
It fits right into the strategy.
Well, so we got to talk about third base.
But you would rather have Joey Bautista, Jose Bautista, Joey Bats in there instead of Manny Machado. If you had
No, I would not. I was playing devil's advocate.
All right.
But so let's talk about third base for a second. The Braves have Austin Riley, who they just pulled up from Double-A, and in the last week he's hit 5 home runs. Just today alone,
the kid's looking sharp in Triple-A.
Yeah, he hit 3 home runs. So if the Braves go to the Orioles and say, all right, I want Manny Machado, do you know who the Orioles are going to ask for? Austin Riley.
Maybe they want to rebuild around pitching and they want an arm, which the Braves have a lot of. And I'm not saying Machado's the way to go. I'm just saying maybe that's something to think about, is maybe you just figure out a way to make your lineup 1 through 8 even better so the pitching is less of a liability.
I'll tell you, if the Braves want to go for pitching, I say we visit Adam's favorite team, and we say, hey, what do you want for Shohei? And we go get Shohei Ohtani over to the Atlanta Braves.
They say Shohei the money, right?
That's absolutely absurd.
Why is that absurd? Why is that absurd? He can play outfield when he's not pitching. What's wrong with that?
Where are you going to put him in the outfield right now?
Ender Inciarte spot.
Wait, guys. Wait. On both the infield and the outfield, are we actually talking that our team is stacked enough with talent that it would be hard to put a new person?
I'm afraid.
Are we having that conversation about the Braves right now?
It is May, and that is the topic of conversation.
Hey, no. I know where we can put Shohei Ohtani. In Nick Markakis' spot because he's a failure.
Or just in an Angels uniform and just leave that idea out there somewhere.
Okay. This show's going off the rails. So quickly, Ben, bring us some picks. because we've got some picks to do because the NBA finals are quickly coming upon us. And I know we don't talk about the NBA on this show, but let's do some NBA picks. Ben, do you have them handy?
No, no, I don't.
Okay, so no, we're not going to do any picks. We're not going to talk about
Literally in the pre-show meeting. Dave, should we pick the NBA playoffs? No, absolutely not, Ben. That's an absurd idea. Besides, the NBA Finals at this point are completely inconsequential. We are at the point where all of the interesting possibilities have been taken off the table. We are now back to just boring basketball, where it's really just the inevitable taking us the rest of the way in the NBA Finals. So no, we're not picking the NBA Finals. That's not happening.
Come on, no. Spoken like a true Alabama fan.
I tried to advocate.
Cleveland lost to the Celtics.
I can't believe Dave is the one that's trying to advocate for basketball now instead of me. But we're not picking this. This is absurd.
Come on. Colin Sexton, man. Colin Sexton will be playing the NBA next year.
Not with any of these four teams.
Okay.
But can I just throw out, for the sake of the fact that my children like to eat, that the NBA Finals begin May 31st on ABC, and that's not inconsequential. Please tune in. Thank you.
Oh, can we not get the NBA back on NBC so we can get John Test back?
That'd be great. Okay. Real quick. Give me your two winners and give me a champion. Go, Dave.
Okay. Cleveland will be playing the Golden State Warriors, and Cleveland will win just because when Alabama wins the national championship, Cleveland also wins the NBA championship. There we go. There's my picks.
Adam, what have you got?
LeBron finally meets his maker, I hope. Houston, Boston in the finals. Houston takes it.
Oh wow!
Upset specials all around.
There you go.
I'll definitely be pulling for the Rockets because I just can't bring myself to pull for Golden State anymore. But no, I'm gonna have to go with Golden State. And yeah, I think LeBron just wills Cleveland into the finals one more time. So I'm gonna go with the classic there, Golden State and Cleveland, and I'll take the Warriors in 5.
Well, I'm shocked. I learned from the Ben Foster School of Bracketology that, you just got to go for the chaos. So I'm surprised.
In a college bracket, this is the NBA where chaos was murdered a long time ago. It was left for dead in the streets.
So there you go. There's our haphazard picks. Now, Ben Foster, bring the fire with your sideline warning.
My sideline warning is simple. It's the fact that a beloved institution of the game of baseball is still continuing, and it is a shell of its former self. That's right. I'm talking about Sunday Night Baseball. ESPN has spent a lot of money promoting Sunday Night Baseball and building it entirely around one of their new color commentators, Alex Rodriguez. And Alex Rodriguez shouldn't even be there. The guy's tied to steroids. He's a cheater. He has no place belonging in Sunday Night Baseball. He should be not involved in baseball because the other guys who have cheated in the way Alex Rodriguez has cheated aren't involved. You don't have Barry Bonds on. He's not a color commentator anywhere. He shouldn't have even been allowed to be with the Marlins last year as a hitting coach. The scoundrels of the game are too close to the game, and that's a problem. And ESPN should quit promoting this kind of stuff because it doesn't make the product better in the long run. So shame on you, ESPN. It's time to get rid of Alex Rodriguez. There we go.
You know why you can't watch Sunday Night Baseball in the jungle? There's too many cheetahs. So let me ask you this, Ben. You bring
Cheetahs
up Barry Bonds.
Aren't even in the jungle. They're like on the safari, like they're out in the savannah.
Yeah.
You bring up Barry Bonds being the hitting coach for the Marlins, and that was a true failure. But what about Mark McGwire being the hitting coach for the San Diego Padres?
Yeah, that shouldn't be a thing either.
Mark McGwire didn't take steroids; he took Andro, which was illegal at the time, or which was legal at the time.
Yeah, I'm a little more forgiving about Mark McGwire, but still, wouldn't you want to distance yourself from some of this stuff? But clearly, baseball doesn't care.
Okay, all right. Well, I disagree. All right, Adam, bring the fire.
Oh yeah, man. So Related to UCF, surprise, surprise.
Wow.
But not totally UCF. Is these Florida mid-tier college football programs need to get a little, what's the word, perspective? So first we had UCF, the faux national championship celebration, the rings, the banners, all of this stuff. Now everyone in South Florida is all of a sudden gaga for Lane Kiffin. It all started back when the president, John Kelly, the president of FAU, reported that fall 2018 applications were up 35% over the previous year, and they, quote, hadn't done anything differently than hire Lane Kiffin. So he attributed it to Lane's pull that more students were even coming to FAU. I think what's more surprising is that the president of a college is willing to publicly admit that year to year they don't change anything in order to attract more students. I'd be more concerned about that if I was an FAU alum or on their board. But that point aside, the news that came out this week is that the city of Boca Raton has given the key to the city to Lane Kiffin as a gesture of recognizing the impact that the excellence of FAU football has on the city. So I went to my dictionary and looked up the word excellence. And it did have a footnote that by Florida standards, a bowl game is excellence, even if you play that bowl game in your own stadium. So maybe that's a thank you for the extra revenue. Maybe Lane Kiffin one day is going to run for mayor. I don't know. But either way, these public displays are embarrassing. And if you look at the photo op where they're actually handing him the key, Lane's about as enthusiastic then as he is in his first recruiting video with FAU. And I'm sorry, Lane, if you're listening, I know you're probably a regular follower of this podcast, but you make $1 million a year, man. Go to a gym, stop buying your suits at Joseph A. Banks because you look rough, brother. I'm sorry, man, but you're down in South Florida. You make $1 million. Let's start looking like it. Either way, I hope Florida college football teams, particularly these mid-tiers, can find some perspective soon before they keep making these moves that are just embarrassing at the end of the day.
Well, first off, I'm kind of going to follow your coattails here by talking about a mid-Florida school here. But let's talk about the key to the Boca Raton city. Do you know what Boca Raton means in Spanish?
Enlighten us.
Mouth of the mouse.
Really?
Mouth of the rat.
Wow.
So basically, he just got the key to the mouth of the rat.
The rat has the key to the mouth of the rat. Got it.
Right. So it kind of fits. I'm just saying. And also, let's make sure. So tuition or enrollment is up for next year.
35%, and the president himself said that he attributes it to hiring Lane Kiffin.
So let's make sure that we keep Lane Kiffin away from the incoming freshmen. if you see anybody named Joey Freshwater coming anywhere near these freshmen,
or Joey Saltwater,
right now, you might want to look into it. So anyway, my sideline warning first it's twofold. First off, let's talk about the Florida schools. Blake Barnett, former Alabama quarterback, former Arizona State quarterback, has announced he's transferring because he can't get a job at Arizona State as a starting quarterback. He's announced that he's going to go play at South Florida in Tampa for Charlie Strong. If I'm Charlie Strong, do I want this man as my quarterback? Do I want a kid that has jumped to two different schools because he didn't get what he wanted? I don't know. I don't think I want Blake Barnett to come and play for my university. South Florida, are you that desperate to have somebody play for you?
Yeah, it's South Florida.
Yes.
No, but come on, South Florida is actually decent last year.
But what does Charlie Strong have to lose? I mean, if it doesn't pan out, he gets results same as last year, maybe a little bit better. If it does pan out, he's got a good quarterback. So what does he have to lose?
His dignity.
He's coaching for UCF when he was at Texas. I mean,
okay. So anyway, the only thing that could have made this better is if Blake Barnett decided he wanted to transfer to Central Florida, which it kind of would have fit the bill. Crybaby.
There's still time. There's still time.
Exactly.
There's
the
still
draw
time
of the ring. The ring is strong. There you go.
But my second half of my sideline warning is just plain and simple. We're recording this on Sunday, May 13th, which is Mother's Day. Guys and gals out there that are listening, call your mom. There is a famous, in fact, I'm going to search for this there at the very end. There's a famous YouTube clip of Bear Bryant on Mother's Day. I think it was Bell South or whatever it was at the time, who he said, call your mom, because he sure wishes he could. Call your mom on Mother's Day. Enjoy the time that you have with your mother, because it is fleeting, and your mom put up a lot with your crap. I'm just going to say this, but I'm going to leave you with the Bear Bryant commercial. Guys, we love you guys. Follow us on the Twitters at SW The Show. Find us on Facebook, facebook.com, SW The Show. Find the fan group, Sideline Warning fan group on Facebook. Follow me at DAdams419. Follow Ben at the Ben Foster. Follow Adam. He will start tweeting some more, I promise, at Run Tide Run. You can follow us on Instagram. We're SW The Show. We love you guys. Roll Tide. And I'm going to leave you with the Mother's Day clip from Bear Bryant talking from the Bell South commercial.
One of the first things we tell our players is keep in touch with their families. And when our freshmen first arrive, we ask them to write a postcard home right then. You know, we keep them pretty busy, but they always have time to pick up the phone and call. And it's real important to keep in touch. Have you called your mama today? I sure wish I could call mine.
Reach out and touch someone.